So, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, she is a powerhouse of ambition, innovation, and leadership, a renowned shark on Shark Tank, Romana Dada. She brings a wealth of experience as a managing director of Vitality Capital. Yes, you can continue clapping while I'm reading her profile. Romana is going to enlighten us on the unlocking ambition. No, clapping ruk gayi. Unlocking ambition, building wealth, and leading with purpose. So please welcome Romana on the stage. Romana, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Really wonderful to be here, and honestly an honor to be here, not at all an effort. I'm just so impressed that there are so many women in this room seeking to learn, seeking to grow, and seeking to solve the problems that were spoken so well about already today. So I'm really excited to hopefully be part of that, right? I also experienced probably most of what a lot of you have experienced in life, and maybe I'll give you one anecdote to start with, but I still remember when I was growing my company, one of my early startups. After 9 years of growing that company, there was a large private equity fund that had contacted me for investment, and they wanted to invest in the company. And they spent like 2 full days exploring my full business model, getting to know me, understanding me, and they didn't invest. And what I found out from somebody else from the board, a friend, was that they said that it wasn't the right time in my life because I just had a child, and so, you know, I wouldn't be able to run a company. And I always remember that, and I think for many of us, there are so many of these obstacles that come up just because of gender bias, right? And this is something that we really do struggle with. My conversation today with you is on slightly more positive conversations, so I'm going to, if someone could help me to kick off the presentation, kick off with a happier note. I'm hoping to also leave you with some actionable tasks that you can also participate in that help you to unlock your ambition. Someone appears to have messed up the presentation slightly, so excuse the purpose. But unlocking ambition, building wealth, and leading with purpose are our topic for today. And let's see, this is not working. Anyone? Should I just be clicking? Let's see. All right, that's right. It's on. Good, got it. Thank you. Okay, great. So I want to start with a little bit of a conversation with you. I'd love for everyone to kind of take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment, and I mean everybody close your eyes in the room for a moment, please, and just take a pause and ask yourself this question. Have you ever felt that you were meant for more than what you're doing right now? And I want you to close your eyes so you don't feel uncomfortable with raising your hand. Only 5 people in the room felt like they were meant for more. Is everyone achieving everything they want to achieve in life? Are you guys at your optimal? Is there nothing more anybody wants in this room from life? That's impressive. Pakistan is really a happy place. My daughter always says that Pakistan is a can full of happiness. And so we actually registered the trademark to create a brand. You guys are proving that's the case. So all of you are really happy in this room. You're achieving your ultimate goal. You don't feel like you are meant for more. What you're doing is everything you ever wanted to do. I'm very impressed, but I don't believe you. So I'm going to go on. What if I said to you, and you see, in fact, I think we have a Slido here, so if we could get the team to put the Slido up. Let's ask you a question. The question that's going to come up for you, and I'll help you while they're loading. Okay, here you go. What is the biggest barrier you have faced in unlocking your ambition or you currently face? So if you could just scan the QR code and answer this. I'd love to see your answers come up on the screen. Take your time. This is about kind of hearing from you also and making this very interactive. There are many barriers that many people face. but I want to know, what is the biggest barrier for you personally? What has been that challenge for you to achieve and unlock your ambition? Everyone is done. Let me know. Put your hands up. Everyone is done? Still thinking? Being a female, interesting. Wow, I love this. This is super awesome. I guess you guys can see what's running through everyone's minds here. Family responsibilities, I'm not surprised. Lack of organizational growth, something that we've already spoken about by many of the speakers. Where is that opportunity? Being a female in a male-dominated society, that surprises me a little bit. Because you're all happy in Pakistan, right? So you guys should be good. Fear of the unknown, interesting one. Work-life balance, also not surprised. Risk aversion, that's very common for us as women. You know, there are some really interesting statistics that as women, we will only apply for a job if we meet 100% of the criteria. However, men apply for jobs when they meet like 40% of the criteria. There's also statistics that show that women generally always overperform and under-ask, but as men, they generally underperform and overpromise. It's really interesting. These are pure statistics. So, given the kinds of things that you've mentioned here, I'll take you back to the presentation, and let's look at this one. I love this, right? And the reason I always bring Islam into everything is because I truly believe that Islam has the answers for everything if only we just lived our life according to it. So a lot of women do say that family responsibilities, children, husbands, in-laws, all of these things take up a lot of their time, and sometimes they feel compromised. Should I prioritize these things? Am I being unfair? Is that my responsibility? And what I like to say to you today, just to set our tone for today, is that what if I told you that Islam demands that you are out in the world? What if I told you that Islam demands that a form of your worship, and one of your highest forms of worship, is serving the world? And that's not just your family, that's the world needs you. And we'll talk about this a bit later, but again, one of the speakers earlier spoke really well about this point about companies perform better, more profitable, higher innovation, better results when they have women in it. Just think about a world where we don't have women in a boardroom that is a company, let's say an FMCG company, that's creating products for 100% of the population. Leadership teams are designing products for women, but we are not in the leadership teams. This problem is really quite serious. I mean, I'm not going to go into the stats because we've covered them so well already, but 25% more likely to have above average profitability. We've got a higher return on equity, better average growth. Statistics are consistent. Companies with more diverse leadership teams, 19% high innovation revenue. But what if I told you that it was more than just money? That the world is actually a dangerous world without women. So let me tell you this example. Did you know that women are 40% more likely to be seriously injured and 17% more likely to die in a car crash? And why? Because car crash dummies are designed around the body of men. They were not designed around the body of women. If I take this problem further and I look at the tech, we call them tech bros, but if you look at Apple or you look at all of these big companies, who are the people that are designing our devices, that have designed Siri and our talking apps? They are men. So there's evidence that Siri is 70% plus more likely to recognize a man's voice, to the point that women have called up Apple or engineers, and the engineers have responded to them, please get your husband to set it up for you because it's more likely to pick up his voice. I mean, that's pretty scary. Let me give you another really scary statistic. Did you know that police body armor was created around the body shape of men? So women police officers are more likely to die. I mean, it's fatal. It's not just about money. If I tell you, and I will say this to many of my friends, we'll come to what Women Collective is, but many of my friends who've joined and who've invested into companies, they're housewives, they have 3, 4, 5 kids. Alhamdulillah, they come from affluent families and they've never had to work a day in their life. But when they've joined the Women Collective and they've started investing in companies, coming onto the board, joining a call once every month, joining a call once every quarter, they feel so excited. They share what they've learned, whether it's AI, mobility, marketing, with their kids. And as mothers, you know that we are the best teachers for our children, and we can pass on so much more to them if we can have that opportunity. But beyond our children, those voices of those women at home, engaged in their family, serving their family, do their voices not matter? I mean, and it's not even about their voices not matter. Let's take it further. We need their voices. We need their perspective. So how can we bring their perspective? I'm not saying everyone should go and get a job, but everyone should participate in some way in the economy is what I'm saying. So this is a problem, we know, and as women, there are many ways that we'll come to that we can solve for it. But what I also want to say to all the men in the room is that hopefully you can now understand why it's so important for you to facilitate more women in your organizations, because without you, you are still part of a systemic problem that is not only about money, not only about profitability, not only about diverse companies, but it's about people dying in the world, people not getting a solution that they require. It's a really serious problem, and I really want you to think about that. So how can we as women, work on this, and how can we as women really build our pathway and make sure that we are doing things that kind of motivate us, that unlock this ambition? Some of the statistics show us that writing down your goals really helps. So I highly encourage people to do that. It increases clarity. It triggers our brain so that it activates our system. It helps us to focus very positively on opportunities, and it helps us to build accountability. So these takeaways we will be distributing. They'll be on the WIBCON website, and you can also access them via Women Collective. But just small takeaways that I want you to have. And, just really emphasizing this, that goal setting really helps to boost your motivation and your performance. And these are statistically, proven. Specific and challenging goals also I encourage you to set really do lead you to higher performance. And, there's so many stats on this. So really encourage you all to start your day, align in your morning, write down a few tasks for the day. Maybe do it on a weekly basis. Maybe do it on a monthly basis. Actually, a good question for you. I mean, how many of you do write down your goals? And regularly, do you change them? Do you do them daily? No, but you regularly write down your goals. Good. And I think this is something that's really, really important. Okay, we're coming to the next Slido poll. So while the team build that, you can start thinking about the question. I'd like you to think about, what is wealth to you? What does wealth mean? Is there one word that would come to your mind while the team load the Slido? So you have some extra time on this one. I don't want to influence your thoughts, so I'm not going to say anything else, except that a word would be great. Could be what wealth feels like to you. What does it look like to you? What does being wealthy mean to you? Voting clicks not working? Can we reload it? It's on? No. Okay, it's good. So I think you can try again. If everyone wants to rescan it afresh, maybe a new browser. I love that. Happiness, health, peace, freedom. You guys are really happy people. I like it. You're proving this thesis is true. Very nice. I think I should try this in different countries and see how it compares. If Pakistan truly stands out as a place that people really are happy. Maybe there's some kind of poll that needs to be done, and you guys should be one of the happiest countries in the world. The PR for Pakistan is so bad. But really, I mean, whenever I come here and my daughter comes here, we're so happy. We don't want to leave. So this is awesome. Family and health. I love this. Contentment, peace. Money comes up, but not as much, which is great. Super interesting. To be grateful to Allah in all situations. Beautiful. Okay. Let's take you to the next Slido before we cover this topic. So the next question for you, if we can load that one up. And maybe I'll read it to you in the meantime, is what holds women back the most from building wealth? And this one you have some choices. A is lack of financial literacy. B is gender pay gap. C is risk aversion. And D is caregiving responsibilities. Those of you who are working in boardrooms, those of you who are in leadership teams, you know, whenever I'm invited to conferences or to boardrooms to discuss how we can facilitate more women, caregiving responsibilities is a really big one that comes up. And there are lots of things that, you know, I'd love to go into more, but we haven't planned for that today. But, you know, what can companies do to help women with that? Whether that's flexible working solutions, shorter hours. Also, a lot around the men and others in the home, understanding the importance of having women or women's voices, so being more supportive, potentially. So these are really important topics for, I'd say, leaders and companies, and I always say it's the number one, actually. And one of the things I created was one of the first co-working spaces in London in around 2010, and I put in a creche specifically, but not just a creche where, you know, you just leave your kids and they cry. A creche where they were actually educated, talented teachers. You know, there was mathematics, there was Japanese learning, there was sushi making. Like, if you are going to set something up, to all the people in the room who are going to create a facility, please don't just put, like, you know, anyone in a room and say, hey, come and drop your kids. Because as mothers and as parents, we want the absolute best for our children. And we want an environment that supports and facilitates their absolute best goal. Now, I love that you kind of answered this already. And again, I'm sorry for this presentation. Somehow, I think the formatting has gone off. But, you know, many people associate wealth with assets. I love that for you guys, a lot of you understand that it's inner peace. But something that didn't come up so much also is skills and networks, which I think are really important. So this quote, I think, you know, a lot of you already know from the kinds of answers given me, but the wealthiest people I know have compounding habits, not compounding interest. One of the things that we talk about a lot is build your knowledge, because that is your wealth. Build your knowledge, learn more, read more, ask more, study more, network more. Events like this are super fundamental to that, right? And this one came up a lot, and it says risk aversity. So risk aversity is a really interesting one. and I know that it's challenging, but I think a lot of that is challenging because there's not enough opportunity for women to understand how they can start investing, how they can start taking more risks potentially with money that they have saved. So this is something we will come to, and including multiple revenue streams is really important. It's something, if I can be very honest with you, I did not do well enough early on in life. So I started building companies when I was about maybe 12, 13. I think I was 16 when I built my first marketplace pre-Facebook and Instagram. I built it at home. And my parents, I remember, went insane when I'd ordered 10,000 boxes from the same company as Selfridges to pack my orders. And they were like, what are you doing? I filled up the entire house, and I think they still remember that. And I kept investing in my own companies. I kept building my own companies, but that's because I didn't know how to diversify. I didn't know there was somewhere I could go and I could start placing small bets. Had I have then put, you know, $2,000, $5,000 type tickets on maybe 5, 10 different investments, my portfolio would have grown much faster. I do that now, and I absolutely do it as an essential practice. Diversify across everything. I think startups are a great place to invest, ventures, real estate. I think there's so many different asset classes. I even do a bit of private equity, and that's what we've unlocked at Women Collective, which we'll talk more about, but please diversify. And then number 3, right, we all know this because, mashallah, you guys have all shown me that you have such a great kind of spiritual understanding, such an excellent sense of rida and contentment, alhamdulillah, with life and with where you are. But give, right? I mean, I don't need to go into that, but, you know, the barakah from sadaqah, from zakat, from helping. And there's some really beautiful quotes, which I think we are going to have coming up. Or we're going to talk about Women Collective first. So Women Collective is basically what I created to solve that problem of diversifying. So what we do is we encourage more women investors by making sure that in every investment round that we raise, we encourage at least 70% participation from women. But we allow women to come in with as small tickets as $1,000. So you can start investing from really small. So we'll take, for example, a $100,000 ticket in a startup. We will support it. We will invest in it. But you can also participate and join. You can put your voice in. You can join the board calls. You don't have to join the board calls. But imagine tomorrow when you're at dinner tables amongst your friends and your family. And this happens a lot for women. And excuse me if I'm, you know, saying something that isn't the case for you. But men sit on dinner tables and they talk about their deals. They talk about business. What do women talk about at dinner tables? Their children, their mother-in-law, their shoes, their bags, their fashion. But why are you not talking about deals at the dinner table? Why are you not talking about the fact that you invested in an AI company, that you invested in a fashion tech company? You should be talking about those things. But because you don't have the opportunity, you don't know where to go to find information on this. So this is where Women Collective has really helped that. And I'm so happy to say, alhamdulillah, we've had our first 4 Pakistani investors join. And they've joined in like companies like an AI company. We've had a mobility, electrification of vehicles. We're investing in electrifying all the fleet in the Middle East. We have a Pakistani startup in the pipeline, upcycling. I don't know if Sarish is here, but BizBee is an amazing one. They're doing upcycling, 180,000 subscribers already. So they're vetted companies, not super early stage, but we negotiate a discounted access because we understand that companies need you. And they're not always female founders, because our point is not to invest in female-founded companies. Our point is to get you as women as investors. And for all the men in the room who are wondering why, by the way, let me just tell you that this is so important. And many of you know this. In fact, I'd be really interested to see a show of hands of how many people know in the room how many or how much of 100%, how much do you think goes to female-founded companies in the world today? Anyone have an idea of what that statistic is? Less than 10%? Any other numbers? Any other guesses? Less than 10%? Anyone else have another number? 1%. 1% of 100% is how much women founders are getting of capital. Out of every $100, it's $1. And that's global, by the way. And that has not gone up at all. And in fact, in some countries, it's gone down. That's pretty frightening, actually. So how do we solve for that? I could say, hey, let's just invest in female founders, but I don't think that's a solution. I look at it from a macro perspective, and I think, okay, actually, why is that a problem? So if I look at the statistics, actually only 11% of the decision makers in funds are women. So if only 11% of the decision makers are women, then you're telling me that the rest of the decisions are all made by men, and there's a natural gender bias. In fact, again, statistics show that men cannot truly empathize with women until they have a daughter. These are statistics that are shown time and time again. Until they have a daughter, they can't truly empathize. And I'm sorry for all the men in the room, but unfortunately, it's a proven statistic time and time again. So what I want to do is I want to get more of us as women investing. Because if I make you invest $5,000 today, and tomorrow, inshallah, your $5,000 becomes $100,000, tomorrow you're going to now have 20 companies you can invest in at $5,000 tickets. And what does that mean? By the way, statistically, women always give back more to society. They give back more to charity. We're bigger philanthropists. So a world with more women investing isn't just better because more women are going to get funded. It isn't better because women at dinner tables are going to be talking about their deals. They're elevating their conversations. But it's better because you're going to give back more to society. So our entire society benefits from that change. And that's why Women Collective is, so powerful and so important. And I highly encourage you all, if you can scan this, this is our LinkedIn community. We have a WhatsApp community also. So, join, learn a little bit more about what we're doing, participate. Inshallah, we're going to be working closely with WIBCON to do more, to activate more understanding of the kinds of financial investments you can make to help you to diversify, to make sure that you have bets in different places, and to make sure that you're learning about different industries. So please, join us on this journey. There is a survey here. I'd love you guys to QR code for me and do it whenever you have time. It just asks you questions like, have you ever invested? What kinds of asset classes have you invested in? Any thoughts you have about investments? Any experience you have? So this will help us. And we have a really nice lineup of kind of gifts. Some salons in Islamabad also who are offering you some services, some branding workshops, etc. So please participate, and we will be making sure that a few lucky people who participate in this will be getting some really nice gifts. And you can let us know later and scan it, and maybe some of the organizers can help you to get that code later. So again, coming back to the last point of the section that we talked about in wealth, right? Again, we've talked about this, that women are so important because we always give more. And you all know this already, but it's just really honing in that point that benefit others, seek knowledge. And something I always say actually is that, I might not die with lots of assets because we spend so much money traveling, frankly, and are always traveling. And but I'm really happy that I do that. And I take my daughter, and inshallah you'll get to meet her later. She's somewhere around here. Oh, there she is, just in the corner. Hi, Sophia. We travel a lot, and I spend most of my money on taking her with me everywhere and traveling. And she has such a wide range of life experiences, and I encourage her to also learn more languages, multiple languages. And this is the wealth that becomes your legacy. If you die tomorrow with 10 houses or 20 houses, it's not going to come with you, but you are going to leave your legacy, and that's the people, your children, your friends, your family, the community, your social circles who will remember you. And so I really highly encourage you to make sure that you give, and giving is just about money. It's about your knowledge, about your time. It's about learning and passing down that knowledge and information. Have I flipped out of the presentation myself, or? All right, thank you. So coming to the last section, which is leading with purpose. Am I really living the life that I'm meant to lead? So I want you to think about that. It comes back to something we asked in the beginning of kind of your ultimate purpose in life. So I'm going to ask you once again to close your eyes and picture the highest version of yourself. Just close your eyes and imagine, is this the life that I wanted? Is there something else that I could imagine that would be better for me? Is there something else that I'm not doing that I would love to be? If I was in the ideal world, perfect conditions, what would I be doing? Can we go to the Slido for a second and let's just ask people for some thoughts? In one word, describe the highest version of yourself. I love the smiley emoji, whoever added that. More of that happiness, Aya Sophia. More of that kind of happiness. Free, I like that. I love this, to help people more and more and free. Financially independent, of course, super important. Confidence, I love that. Okay, I'm going to take you back to the presentation for a moment. So I'm glad that a lot of you resonated with this. This is what it was for me. And it was, the meaning of life is to find your gift. And then the purpose of life is to give it away. And for me, it's carve your name on hearts, not on tombstones. And that could be different for all of you, but for me, these are really important. How? We talked a little bit about this. Be an enabler. Teach others. Inspire others. Leave a legacy. You want to be that person that when you go on your tombstone, people are going to say, hey, she really helped me. She made me happy. And this we talked about. Wealth is not about having a lot of possessions, but it is about self-contentment. Some beautiful quotes around this, which I love. This was one of the ones I love, and I think one of the other ones I love is, I was helping a man climb a mountain when I realized I'd reached the top. It's really about how you facilitate for others a path, and what's yours will come to you, because we all believe in risk anyway. So, hey, if you help others, then you're not going to harm yourself in any way. I also love this one, coming back to learners. Learning is super important. Okay, so to wrap up my session, I want you guys to just make a few affirmations to yourself. I am not just a seat at the table. I am the blueprint for what is possible. And you really are. Remember that world that needs you, needs your creativity, needs your perspective. Because without it, every single one of us has something different from our life experiences to offer. Please bring that to the board. Please bring that to your teams. And when you're in a room and you're quiet and you're scared to speak, think of it as a responsibility on you to speak. We need your voices. We really need everyone's voices. I am not lucky to be here. I have worked hard and I have earned my place. For most of us, we've worked so hard. Like, I've worked since I was 14. And when people say to me, I'm going to give you something funny that people wrote when it was the Shark Tank. And they were like, Silver Spoon kid, what does she know? I was like, you have no idea. Like, you have no idea. I've worked since I was 14. I've worked 3 jobs when I was at university. But we worked hard to earn our place. And it wasn't easy. And you've all worked hard to be here. You are still working hard. So you deserve it. I am not just a voice in the room. I am the room. I am the space where change happens. With you, we can have a better world. So I just want to leave you with just how important you are and how desperately the world needs you. that's all for me, and I'm so happy to be here again. Thank you guys so much for having me. It's really an honor. Thank you to the whole team. Bisma and team have been amazing. So well done to this awesome organizing team. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.